Greetings, Shining Bulls and Shining Bears, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Crypto Astrology Podcast. We're going to take a look at what this week holds for Bitcoin and Ether price. But first, always feel welcome to check out my website where I have offerings for all suns. So now let's get on to this week in Bitcoin and Ether price. I, the astrologer Maya, live in Newfoundland, so all of this is in Newfoundland time, and that's a unique time zone in the world. So look for that. Then let's get started. So on Sunday, again, remember Newfoundland time. Sunday, price is going to start moving up in a sustained and sustainable way as Jupiter enters into Saturn's third drishti. And later, Jupiter joins Venus and Mars in Cancer in the Navamsha. That's later on Sunday. And so although that's a sensitive spot in the zodiac right now, I see that it's going to create a feeling of having arrived at a consensus on how to move forward, and that's going to affect markets in a positive way. And next, Monday is like an ocean of waves up and down because Moon is trining Jupiter, but also trining Rahu. And what I have been noticing is that Jupiter is causing Bitcoin and Ether to move up, but Rahu has been causing down moves. So Monday is like a lot of waves up and down. Then first half of Tuesday looks like a drop as Venus shifts into Virgo in the Navamsha, along with Moon trining Mercury in the sky. But Tuesday night, a big upswing is going to start actually when Moon hits the trine to Mercury at the exact trine and then enters into Capricorn, and this should be a big move up, and that's also because Mercury at that moment will be very shortly moving into Taurus. So Tuesday night, I'm really expecting that we have a big move up. Then Wednesday morning we're gonna drop as Moon starts, again Newfoundland time, as Moon starts opposing Venus, who has been creating a lot of feelings of insecurity from the from Venus's transit in Cancer. And then starting early in the afternoon, we begin a move up when Mercury enters into Taurus. And again, this should be an important up move. Okay, next Thursday is going to be quite intense because there is some decision or stance that's being taken either by politicians or by a CEO, basically by important leaders, which in our day and age can be heads of state, but is often actually heads of large companies. So next, I'm predicting that Thursday takes us up because of this for much of the day. And then I'm also predicting that Friday and Saturday we're moving up too as Moon transits Aquarius with Saturn. So that was the weekly forecast for the week ahead in Bitcoin and Ether price. And for intraday traders, my signal service is best. Take a look around my site because I have wildly reduced prices, and you can get the bundles with my books, and then you have the bigger context along with my trading signals, which will come to you in real time to your email, and they're just going to be an added tool so that you have a celestial framework to work with also, along with your other technical indicators. I find them quite useful. Okay, so next let's talk about two news items from this past week. The first is regarding Bitcoin mining. Now, recently, Bitcoin mining has been in the news because the hash rate is at an all-time high, meaning that there are more miners active. This means that more miners are finding it profitable to mine Bitcoin. And interestingly, certain analysts have noticed a discrepancy between the relationship between the current Bitcoin mining hash rate and Bitcoin price, this price cycle, versus the previous Bitcoin price cycle. And so basically what they see is that this price cycle hash rate is increasing at a much faster pace relative to Bitcoin price. Parallel to this news, we've seen an announcement from Tether, the issuer of USDT, on Tuesday, May 30th of this past week, that they are embarking on a sustainable mining operation in Uruguay. Tether mentioned being interested specifically in Uruguay as the base for their mining ops due to the country's renewable energy capabilities. Apparently, according to Tether's statement, Uruguay generates 94% of its electricity from renewables, which is amazing to me. Meanwhile, news also emerged at the beginning of May that the Kingdom of Bhutan has apparently been mining Bitcoin since April of 2019. The rest of us didn't realize this, right? And so now we realize, oh wow, okay, they've been doing this for a while now. Okay, and more recently, there was news that came out that the NASDAQ-listed miner BitDeer is partnering with Bhutan's government to establish a mining arm there powered by hydropower, because apparently hydropower supplies almost all of the Kingdom of Bhutan's energy. Also incredible. Now, in any case, on Wednesday, May 31st, Bitcoin mining difficulty rose, which is a typical adjustment that happens to balance the time it takes for each new block to be mined, in accordance with hash rate fluctuation. So hash rate has been higher because there are more miners in the space, meaning that mining is being seen as profitable. So obviously more miners are interested in getting in. But although this is an expected and programmed maneuver, the date affords an important astrological insight. Bitcoin mining difficulty rose just as debilitated Mars in Cancer was about to hit the exact degree of Saturn, who has been transiting 8th from Mars in Aquarius, and therefore in Mars's 8th and destructive drishti. Saturn is the significator of mining, and transiting in Aquarius, the sign related to mass media, in the nakshatra of Shatabisha, related with electronic media. It is clear that Saturn right now is signifying Bitcoin mining, especially considering that one of the main reasons for hash rate increase was due to BRC20 tokens, which we could consider a form of electronic media, increasing miner revenue and drawing more miners into the business. Saturn is strong in Aquarius, and that's why mining hash rate has been ballooning more than one would have expected if you're following this story. Meanwhile, the sign of Cancer where Mars is transiting signifies waterfalls and rivers. So Mars hitting the exact degree of Saturn in transit right after mining difficulty was increased means that Mars's 8th destructive drishti on Saturn was exact. So Mars destroyed the phenomenon that Saturn had been creating, which had caused hash rate to increase in an unprecedented manner. But at the same time, Mars being debilitated in Cancer, the sign related to flowing water, as I mentioned, which is the basis of hydroelectric power, for example, and Cancer also being the sign of homelands, created a situation where the only way that Bitcoin mining will be going forward is in specific homelands or countries where the energy required comes from clean sources such as hydroelectric. And this celestial movement or maneuver of Mars has set a new precedent for Bitcoin mining going forward and will generate a new type of world where countries such as Uruguay and Bhutan that have mastered the art of being domestically reliant on clean energy will take on an immense financial benefit directly by becoming attractive mining hubs in this new world that we are embarking upon. And although I do not typically use the Genesis block as my Bitcoin natal chart of choice, in this case I noticed that Bitcoin's Genesis block, natal chart has an interesting transit happening on it, which is that Mars is transiting where Ketu is placed in that chart. And that is in Bitcoin's 5th house. Mars is the lord of Bitcoin's natal 2nd and 9th houses, both Dhan Bhavs, or houses which create wealth. And this Mars is in the Bitcoin natal chart, located in the nakshatra of Mula, which is related to finding the truth or the root of an issue. And so Mars transiting over Bitcoin's natal Ketu while aspecting transiting Saturn in Aquarius is creating an unexpected situation, which is going to create an unexpected new investment or new investments that simultaneously address the problem of the false public conception of Bitcoin being unsustainable, of like Bitcoin mining being unsustainable, which is not actually true. It's actually the opposite. And it's going to, in fact, create a world where it is more attractive for countries and jurisdictions worldwide to run on clean energy, like Uruguay and Bhutan, because they have the incentive of business from Bitcoin miners, which will be playing an ever-increasing centric role in making our world go around. So this is a huge deal. This is like a big kind of turning point, actually, that shows a lot. Like a lot of times what I do is I notice with sensitivity when certain things are happening, and when they are kind of happening at the same moment as such an important transit as this, then it shows the implications of a news event for our future. Okay, so my next news item I want to talk to you about is exchanges shutting down their operations. In the past week, we have been hearing a lot about various exchanges shutting down around the world or pulling out of certain countries. For example, Binance and local exchange Bybit pulled out of Canada, which is where I live, while Hotbit shut down operations. Like a lot of you may know Hotbit, that's a big exchange. They shut down. And astrologically, the reason I wanted to tell you about this, the reason that this past while has been particularly difficult for centralized exchanges is that the planet Ketu has been transiting through the nakshatra of Swati in trine to Saturn. And the nakshatra of Swati is located at the heart of the sign of Libra, which is the sign that represents the marketplace. So it's going to represent where trading is happening online too, which is exchanges. Okay, so now when Saturn combines with Ketu in different configurations, in this case they're in trine, that creates a particular kind of detachment. And in this case, their trine has created a landscape in which several exchanges have finally decided to throw in the towel, as we say in English, which is an idiom for saying like, that's it, I'm done, I give up. So they're throwing in the towel after having faced too much pressure and no longer being able to, being willing to navigate the regulatory stress due to that detachment, that feeling of detachment, detaching so you're able to say, okay, we give in, just take it, we're done. Okay, so that's what's been happening with centralized exchanges. Now, what I see is that in one sense, the worst is over, as all of this news has come out just as true Ketu transited out of the 3-degree orb of trine to transiting Saturn. But on the other hand, I see that when Saturn retrogrades and then turns back direct over the same zone where Saturn had been trining Ketu, because the paths have memory, right? So the paths of transit have memory, just okay. So anyway, like I guess tracks left. So anyway, when Saturn passes back and forth over that zone again, which is going to be from mid-June of this year, 2023, so starting pretty soon, through to mid-February of next year, 2024, those exchanges which have survived so far We'll be going through internal overhauls that will allow them to be more resilient in the future. So the next 8 months is going to be critical for all exchange operators, and it's going to be a challenging time. And probably more challenging than any of us, if we're not working for exchanges, could possibly imagine. So since Saturn is a cold planet, it's going to potentially cause a lot of acquisitions to happen. Like, think of condensation. Cold, it's bringing things together into one because it's condensing. So it's going to cause acquisitions to happen where we have less centralized exchanges to choose from in the future, but those which do survive will be much stronger than they ever were. And furthermore, and very importantly, but that's not going to be easy, but that will be the case, they'll be stronger. And very importantly, I want to tell you that when Ketu enters into Chitra Nakshatra within Libra, which taking true Ketu happens in the middle of August of this year, and so not too long away, a new type of fundamental overhaul of technology, systems, and practices of exchanges will initiate that will be unbelievably intense, but transformative and necessary for future survival. So decentralized, that's because Chitra is about the structure and the design of the thing, and is actually extremely important in crypto, that nakshatra. So decentralized exchanges anyway and protocols can also benefit from this transit, but they will have to be just as inventive as the centralized exchanges. So that's what I wanted to tell you about this week. And yeah, I'm trying to get better at this. I'm looking down at my computer a lot, but maybe I will be looking into a teleprompter in the future or something. I'm just trying to get better, but if you know me, I sometimes have told you guys anyway, I just have to read. And anyway, I hope it's okay. I hope that you're not too annoyed with my presentation style for now, and I'm trying to get better. And I would appreciate very much if you guys keep commenting and feel free to ask questions, because then I can address questions that are of interest to everybody, so that everybody can benefit, and this will be a better and better podcast. So I hope this was okay, and I will see you next week.